We're tracking a new chapter in the fight against ISIS. The U.S. plans to arm Kurdish forces so they can begin assaults against ISIS headquarters in Raqqa, Syria. This comes despite heavy opposition from Turkey. Joining us now, Jamie McIntyre, senior writer covering defense and national security for the Washington Examiner. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
President Trump approved a plan to directly arm the Kurdish forces fighting against ISIS. But Turkey is having a big problem with this. President Erdogan is going to come to the White House. He's expected, I think, next week.
That's right.
So what effect is this going to have on our relationship with Turkey?
Well, it's already pretty strained over this whole issue. The United States military has decided that the most effective fighting force on the ground are these Kurdish Peshmerga fighters. They've been able to have a lot of success on the battlefield. And President Trump wants to defeat ISIS swiftly. You may recall during the campaign, he talked about doing it very quickly.
Right away, yes.
Well, the only force that's in a position to mount an assault on Raqqa right now is this loose coalition of Syrian fighters, Arab, Turkmen, and of course, the Kurdish forces. But the problem is Turkey considers this group of Kurdish militia, known as the YPG, to be terrorists. It says it's basically one and the same with a group called the PKK, that is a separatist group fighting the Turkish government. And the U.S. says, look, these YPG fighters, they're not threatening Turkey at all, and we need them to defeat ISIS. And Turkey and the Turkish president is very upset.
So it'll be very interesting to see.
He believed he had a commitment from President Trump not to do this.
And President Trump has done it, and now this visit next week is going to be interesting to watch. Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, while he was in Denmark, spoke about the delicate relationship with Turkey and the U.S. arming the Kurds. Let's take a listen.
Our intent is to work with the Turks, alongside one another to take Raqqa down, and we are going to sort it out, and we'll figure out how we're going to do it, but we're all committed to it.
You've been covering this stuff for a really long time. How can Turkey and the U.S. work together to fight ISIS?
Well, you know, Turkey is doing a lot, as Secretary Mattis said, particularly in the northern part of Syria, where they cleared off their border and stopped the flow of foreign fighters in and out of Syria, along the Syrian-Turkish border. But what they're not prepared to do, and what the United States doesn't really want them to do, is to go down to Raqqa, ISIS's self-declared, capital, and take part in that assault. And what you're basically seeing is the United States slow-rolling the Turks.
Right.
They're constantly working the problem, but they're never solving it. Meanwhile, they're going ahead, and of course, the most obvious sign of that is this idea. Now they're going to provide weapons. It's basically small arms, ammunition, anti-tank weapons, that sort of thing. But they're enabling them so they can mount that final assault on Raqqa, and they're going to do it without Turkey.
And very quickly, I'm being told we don't have any time. When will Raqqa fall?
Well, we don't have a timeline, but soon, probably in the next couple of months.
Okay. Jamie McIntyre, senior writer covering defense and national security for the Washington Examiner. A pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.